Hi, welcome to the Lonely Nights podcast, where me and my co-host, Ben,
Hola.
and I, Ephraim, talk about whatever we want, just because we can. So, Ben, why don't you start us off with a little, just tell us about yourself.
Um, fuck.
Okay.
Spaced. Shit. I was gonna start off with um, I'm like 17, senior in high school, enlisted in the army. Um, a piece of shit.
That works for
I
me.
feel like that covers me. How about you? Who the fuck are
I am
you?
a,
Who the
I'm 16, I'm a junior in high school. I have no plans outside of high school. I'm going to become a financial analyst and take all of your money.
the fuck you all? All right.
In my spare time, I like pickling and fermenting things.
The fuck are you pickling? I've never heard of this. The fuck?
Yeah,
What are you
I'm
pickling?
selling pickles now.
You're selling pickles, like just
Yeah,
dead ass selling pickles.
yeah, spicy pickles, dude.
So what
A
are you?
lot of people really like them, so I'm gonna start selling them.
So what are you fermenting then? You said you were doing both.
Um, I'm gonna start making mead soon.
You're fucking 16.
I've made beer, actually many times, just because I have a beer making kit.
Yeah, let's expose ourselves on the podcast.
Okay, I like fermenting, and there's other. And in my spare time, I like to ferment and pickle objects.
In my
All right,
spare
I think
time, I
that's
like
good.
to expose my alcohol addiction on podcast.
Well, you can ferment stuff. You can ferment like I'll just stick with pickling.
That's probably for the better. Oh shit! It's currently 2:22 a.m. So we're both kind of just fucking out of it.
I'm not.
I am. I'm. It's nap time for you, boy.
Do you wanna save this for later
No, the
tonight?
fuck I do. I wanna get the first heebie-jeebies out of the way for a bit.
All right, all right. So we're gonna keep doing this, just like, whew, kind of snap into it.
Yeah, we're gonna keep doing this until we can get like a full discussion,
Hmm.
and then we'll figure out like what triggered the discussion. Is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Well, keep your mute button on ready in case you need to cough. Coughs are right into the microphone. What
Well, we're
a
not
piece of
on air,
shit.
are we?
We are. We've been recording the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 3 minutes. It's only been three
Oh.
minutes. We're already out of fucking content.
Well, I mean, I got content. I got the
Yeah, what
content you
content do
want.
you have?
We can talk about weed. We can talk about pickling. We can talk about my pickling business.
Ooh, let's talk about the draft.
Oh, I
so
like that.
so in case the people who aren't hearing this didn't know, um, because of all the shit that's going on right now, it's suspected that there'll be a draft here soon. I've been federally advised not to give my full opinion on the subject, but I am allowed to speak a little bit. So, Ephraim, what you got to hear about what are your thoughts on being drafted, seeing as you'll be of age here soon?
I got a couple things. First of all, I just want to make it perfectly clear. I do not believe there's going to be a draft. For the president to re-enlist the draft, that's going to take some major polling points off of him. I think it's political suicide. And because reason number two is because I don't believe that the war between Iran and America is going to involve any soldiers needing to be on foot on in Iraq. Mostly because we've
Iran.
already tried that. Now we're starting to do more missiles, more, projectile weaponry. So if there was a draft to happen, which most likely not, we're not going to be there's not going to be much need for it.
So
That's my opinion.
do you get why people are saying there may be a draft?
I definitely do. Um, you know, to call it World War III, I think it's a little bit of a stretch,
Yeah.
mostly because how little allies Iran has.
they've been
Iraq will not side with either of us.
they've been
They
really
will try and
fucking
keep.
neutral for a fat minute. They've
Well,
like
yeah.
they've like they haven't really pissed anyone off, but they like don't trade as much as they really should, or they don't buy shit from people like they should. They don't participate, is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Like they
here's the
should.
thing. If you're going to have a war on your homeland at all times, I think I'd be concerning myself with the well-being of my citizens and my land before I start trading shit with you. And the Iraq definitely did support America through this entire war, and look what happened. We ended it. There was, you know, political assassination. I call it political because we don't really understand why President Trump gave, because even in his reasoning, his speech that happened like ooh last week, maybe a week and a half ago, he wasn't quite clear. He was and this is an actual term in politics. He was pussyfooting. Basically, it means dodging the question by saying, like, for example, say you were to ask me, how do you feel about the landfills in our town? And say I was the governor. So, governor, how do you feel about the landfills in our town? Well, you see, I think it is very bad. I'm sure men will take care of it. The citizens are in my best interest. Nothing really gets accomplished, nothing's
Ah,
really
yeah,
said.
yeah. I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
It's all blank. So, um, actually, a good example of that is from the Best Little Whorehouse of Texas. It's a movie by Dolly Parton, and the governor is addressed with the problem regarding the whorehouse, but we can get into that
Oh,
at a different time.
I thought you were talking. I
Um,
thought you were gonna say Obama administration.
how do you,
I
how,
was
how
about
do
to.
you how do you feel about draft? Do you think that it is the American thing to do? Like,
So
if you're not drafting, you're anti-America
no,
or just a pussy.
that's definitely not what I think. I mean, like, I want to point out that I am a little biased. Like, I definitely
Mm.
think people should serve their country because, like, you fucking should.
I mean, look at Korea. They have, or South Korea, they have like a mandatory amount of
Soldiers.
soldiers,
Yeah.
or well, like soldier time. Everyone has to serve. Same thing with
A lot of other
Israel.
countries have that because they're not as privileged as us. Like, we're literally so fucking
Hmm.
high compared to everyone else. So,
Exactly.
like, I definitely don't think a draft, not only would it not be wanted by society, but it's like it may not be fully necessary. And you got to keep in mind that if we were to go to war with Iran, it wouldn't be us versus Iran. It would be our side versus Iran's side. It would
Hmm.
end up there would be a lot of countries, fleeing to one side or another because if America gets in a war, someone else has to be involved. Um, it
Yeah,
just
I
seems to be
mean,
how it is.
America's definitely gonna need support in this, mostly because, but
I mean, our economy is fucking thriving. Like our economy.
yeah, and I don't want to point fingers at who, is helping our economy out of risk of being too political, but honestly, you do see a trend of Trump being in president and our entire country's economy, our well-being. In, funny enough, migrant workers' jobs have increased since he's been in office.
Yeah, because
Funny
he's
enough.
got all the. Okay, so I'm gonna take us back a little bit because I love to
Yeah.
rag on Obama, but um, so Obama was a politician. He wasn't a businessman like Trump was.
Mm,
Obama was a senator. I think he was
lawyer.
he was a he was a lawyer. Then he was a congressman or a governor. He was one of them or both. I don't fucking know. I didn't pay attention. And then he became
That was a
president.
while ago.
So yeah, he had a little bit of like footing in the realm.
Mm,
Trump has had zero fucking footing. He just became super profitable and super wealthy and went, I want the presidential seat, and
mm.
paid for his own campaign, managed to get there, and so he's running America like a business. And so I definitely
Wh-
see and love how the economy's thriving and jobs are coming. Jobs are obviously being taken away because that's just how things fucking work. But
And here's why it's working so well. Capitalism.
goddamn
Capitalism
right.
is capital. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Capitalism works perfectly, if not for greed. Humans by nature are greedy. There is maybe you know maybe there's one person that you know that couldn't be greedy. It's against their nature. I bet one point in their life they were very envious of what other people had.
Definitely ain't you.
Yeah. Um, so yeah. So to have these greedy politicians to, because really politicians are backed by, okay, let me take it back. How campaigns work. Say I'm a senator and I want to be a president. I run, but I need money. So I have all these big investors, the top 1%, top 10% funding my
Super
campaign.
PACs.
Yeah, exactly. They get a lot of money, but it comes at a price. I can't pay them back because that's a lot of money. You know what they do?
Yeah, they give
I
them
don't
jobs.
like this bill. I don't like this law. Can you do something about it? You
Yeah,
have to do everything they do, or you will not get elected another term. That's why it's worked out so well for Trump because he funded himself.
yeah,
That's the reason one. Reason two is because he's a natural businessman, and capitalism is in favor of businessmen, and Trump is in favor of America. Therefore, America is in favor of capitalism, and vice versa. So, to, the reason why it hasn't worked out so well is because most presidents are politicians. They're not businessmen. And
yeah,
businessmen are perfect. Businessmen, working men, people who have, and I understand that Trump was born into power. His dad dominated real estate and investments, I believe. But, take example, Theodore Roosevelt, great president, amazing president, tucked away hundreds and hundreds of acres of land for America. Where did he come from? He came from a small farm. He had asthma, he had pneumonia, his wife and his mom died on the same day. He had it rough, and he was an amazing president. So,
all right.
yeah,
So
that was a lot.
back to the topic at hand,
Ah,
and not
yeah,
your
yeah.
2 a.m. rants. Um, I definitely feel like if things were to escalate and we had Japan, I saw somewhere that
Oh,
Japan was telling Iran like, "Hey, you don't want to go against America. We've had that happen to us before." Um, it didn't work out so well.
you know what
Nice,
I'm saying?
Captain Obvious. But I feel like if something was to actually, come of this, like the not necessarily the world, but a lot of the bigger nations would be involved, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, and
Not from like an actual physical involvement, but like a
financial, they would
financial.
100%
Okay.
financial involvement at least. I wouldn't be surprised if there was physical involvement with other countries. It seems to happen all the fucking time. Um,
Hmm.
and oh fuck, like
What'd you do?
I just running out of breath, or my like throat's getting dry. Fuck. But if something was to escalate, like I definitely feel like there would be a draft, and I'm kind of against it. Like, for example, we're going over the Vietnam draft at school right now,
Mm.
and there's multiple songs and like all these fucking propaganda posters about like the draft and like how be the
Hmm.
first in your neighborhood to take your boy back home in a box kind of shit. Like
Yeah.
when you end up drafting people, it ends up backfiring on the government, which makes the enemy win in a type of
Mm.
sadistic psychological warfare. So what happened in Vietnam was we had our troops go out, and then we started the draft, and we had more and more troops get deployed to Vietnam. And the press here only wanted to cover the negative things our guys were doing over in Vietnam. And
Hmm.
so, we were labeled, I say we, the veterans were labeled baby killers and all that kind of shit, fucking horrible people. Um,
I mean,
and
there's definitely, that Lai Mao massacre that was, but you can't generalize them.
yeah,
It's
and
a
so,
group of six sadistic people.
like that happened, yes. But they didn't talk about, the tremendous amount of villages being liberated and saved, and
Hmm.
thanking the American people, the American soldiers, or the orphanages that got saved, or the villages that got the mines removed, the bouncing
Hmm.
betties removed from the floor from the American soldiers. None of that was talked about, and I feel like that's some fucking bullshit. Um,
Well, that's social media for you. It
right? Social
happened.
fucking yellow journalism pisses me off. Um,
Yeah, honestly, it
and like
does.
I definitely feel like a draft would cause all that shit again.
Hmm.
And it would just fucking break the country again. And I feel like a draft may not be the way to go, and we should do more of like a. Um, it's gonna sound sadistic, but a psychological experiment with people
Hmm.
and tell them different ways to why the military would benefit them without actually changing any of the benefits. Um,
Well, honestly, I think that another reason why the draft's not going to happen is because do we really need it? America has one of the largest military in the world.
correct, correct, right? We do have a lot of machinery and stuff like that to take care of it, but Trump has been a big advocate for boots on the ground,
Mhm.
you know, um, and especially with what happened with Iran, as far as I know, um, well, as far as I'm allowed to tell, was they were hiding ISIS troops, and the ISIS troops were infiltrating the government, and they weren't doing anything to stop it. And when confronted, they said, no, they're not. And when shown proof, they said, no, they're not.
Mhm.
Instead of, questioning or kicking them out or, reasoning, they
Yeah.
just, no, they're not. No, they're not. Which led us to believe they're up to some stupid shit.
Yeah.
So we took out their head leader, we took out their general. I'm pretty sure it's their general. Um,
Yeah. Hold on. Let me look up his name while you keep talking.
yeah. Um, and what ended up happening was when we took him out, the whole fucking country went on backlash. Um, I would like to point out that we killed the uh, president of ISIS or whatever the fuck his name was,
Mhm. Oh,
with
yeah,
snipers and dogs.
yeah. Hmm. Well,
So,
he wasn't the leader. I thought he was just like one of the stronger men. I thought we killed the leader like a long time ago.
so when you chop one head off, another one arises,
Yes, I
and so
understand, but I thought, okay.
he rose up to power, and we
Mm.
chopped the fucking head real quick. Um,
The Iranian general's name was, I'm gonna fucking butcher this, but Qasem Soleimani.
um,
So,
so that guy, um,
hmm.
we took him out because if ISIS managed to get into their military, everyone was gonna be fucked,
Hmm.
and like that would have been real bad, um, like Hitler levels of bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
Um, so necessary evil, and the amount of fucking backlash that came from that,
Hmm.
like it amazes me how little research people do to form an opinion. Like,
Yeah.
in like that's not even the point. If you form an opinion on little research, go for it. For your country, just do a little bit more research, or don't get so
I mean,
fucking heated during a debate.
here's the thing, I'm not going to argue with you if you don't know what you're talking about. If you're going to get frustrated over a topic you can't understand,
Yeah,
this
but
goes for both sides. Like, I've seen it on Republicans and I've seen it in Democrats.
yeah,
They don't understand what they're talking about. And honestly, I believe um, the reasoning being our generation has been like hearing these political opinions second-handedly.
yeah,
Their parents are Republican, so they're Republican. Or if they're the rebellious type, they're Democrat. But they're only doing it because either they're following their parents or they're rebelling against their parents. And then they hear little snidbits from friends like, "Oh, Trump's sexist. He said this and this and this," or "Oh, Nancy Pelosi's a big fat bitch." And they start spouting off about that. They start like talking, shouting everywhere, and like the hardest thing to do in anything. This goes for whether you're old, young, black, white, it doesn't matter. The hardest thing to do for anyone is change another person's opinion if their mind is set on it.
yeah. If
It's
they're
the
on
hardest thing
something.
to do. And that's only because we refuse to listen.
I have an interesting example of that actually. So,
Do
um,
tell.
on the island of Great Britain, right?
Mm,
Um, it's so weird saying island of Great Britain because when I imagine island, it's like Hawaii.
mm-hmm,
But anyway, on the island of Great Britain, they outlawed all guns. So there's
mm-hmm,
no legal guns. You can't get a gun legally. It's very hard to get them illegally. So people now have to report if a knife goes missing because they've been mass stabbings.
mm-hmm.
So me and my dad and a few of my friends brought this up and ultimately came up with the conclusion of like, you know, if people have their mind set on doing something, they will find a way to do it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I get that's a little bit, different than what you were saying, but like it just shows how fucking hard headed our species can be.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna take the goddamn effort to, you know, no guns are allowed. But this
Mm-hmm.
person, he stole my croissant. So I really gotta stab a motherfucker. And then you stab him. And then you're like, God damn, that felt good, and you keep going. Like, I don't get how hard headed this species, like humans, can be. It's so fucking stupid to me.
So speaking of gun laws, you're gonna like this. Virginia, I don't know if you heard about this, is actually trying to um, basically go against the Second Amendment,
Suck my cock.
saying no guns are allowed anywhere. There was a protest in Virginia, a gun rally,
Yeah.
2 days ago. This rally was very peaceful. No violence, no mass shootings. They even picked up their trash after they were done. Like, guys came around with bags and picked up their trash.
Yeah.
While the people who were anti guns shouting, there was actually, one person who did get hurt. It was like a punch to the face or something.
Yeah.
And they left a mess. And, the other side, pro guns, went to clean up. I'm not saying that, guns don't make you violent, but I'm saying it's a good example of how generalizing certain people will hurt this country.
Yeah. And it's like you said, guns don't. Or what did you just say? What quote did you just
Guns
say?
don't make
Yeah.
the violent man makes,
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely dependent on the individual. Like guns just provide the means. It's the person that provides the will. It makes
Hmm.
sense. Um, and so like you can go against the Second Amendment all you fucking want. The point someone comes to my door and asks for my guns, I'm going to pull the fucking trigger. Like you are not stealing my weapons from me. That is my Second Amendment. You can suck my fucking cock. And
And so far, our criminal justice system, our Supreme Courts, and our, minimal courts, or superior courts,
inferior.
they have gone through years and years and years of anti-guns, pro guns, Second Amendment disputes, most of them, pretty much all of them, have turned out to be null. Why? Because going against the Second Amendment
Is pointless.
is pointless. This is America, people. Wake the fuck up. You're not gonna get it.
Y'all need to get woke as fuck up in this bitch.
Exactly. And even if they do, even if guns are outlawed, let's take it. Let's take it in a different universe. Take a turn for the worst. We are in America. Second Amendment. Done. Gone.
Yep.
Court. The Supreme Court's like, get that shit out of here. We're going to, like scribble it out. Again, once again, let me repeat myself. This is America. You can still get a gun illegally within a day.
And gun violence will go through the fucking roof.
Through the roof.
And not only that, but like like you said, this is like America. I feel like people wouldn't buy illegal guns. They would just form a fucking militia, which is also in the Second Amendment, and go against a tyrannical government.
Exactly.
I personally would not be able to participate because I would be the one fighting because I'm in the army, but like still. Anyway, transition. Woo. Speaking of banning things and unbanning things, let's talk about weed. Banning the
Good one.
unbanning of weed, legalizing of weed. Sorry, marijuana. What are your thoughts?
So, you may know this. I told you this, but I wanted to be a biomedical engineer, specifically working with marijuana and psilocybin mushrooms. Those are, shrooms. Because I strongly believe in their medical benefit.
Really?
I strongly believe in their medical benefits. I am very anti recreational. Not because I think it turns you into like a stoner, like, oh, hey man, because I think you're ruining it for everyone, creating a bad image, and for the people who really need it, like chemo patients, for people who are on terrible medicines that really want to go natural, like Parkinson's disease, the side effects for those medicines, fucking terrible.
Yeah.
THC and CBD not only helps that, there are very little side effects. I think Michael Fox actually started weed. You know, Marty from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
um, Psilocybin mushrooms are riskier, though. So I think to extract these chemical properties that help, because psilocybin mushrooms, there have been accounts of them, you know, really fucking you up or changing your life for the better. Because if you take the right amount, or maybe the circumstances are right, it chemically alters your brain.
Yeah.
It as a whole chemically alters your brain, but there are certain chemical properties in this drug that can change your life for the better. It can help with depression. It even helps with speech impediments. I have known one person. There are many more. There's actually one very famous guy. I can't remember. He vouches for psilocybin mushrooms because it helped with his speech impediment. Who tried psilocybin mushrooms, and slowly his speech impediment got better. It's not gone. It's still there. His name is, well, I won't say his name. We'll just call him Johnny Walker. Old neighbor of mine. He still has a speech impediment, but it's not as bad. It is significantly better for when I first met him because he would take about 10 seconds to get through maybe two sentences, depending on what was in there. D's and B's fucked him up most of the time. How do you feel about him? How do you feel about him?
About mushrooms or just drug use in general?
Weed. Just do weed.
So, hot take. I believe anything that chemically alters your brain should be fixed or not there. And so, like, I'm very anti-weed, um, both because of the army and because I personally just don't believe in it. I've seen it ruin
Mhm.
multiple families, including my own. Um, and so I just believe it does more harm than good, but it may be bias. I personally couldn't give a shit more. Um, I have done a ton of fucking research. I have a lot of my friends smoke weed,
Mhm.
and so like I've gotten their takes on it and like why they do it, and a lot of them. I don't know if it's just because I'm in high school or all my friends are dumbasses, or it's just to have fun. It's not to
Mhm.
like blow off steam or like, you know, reduce stress. Like my brother uses it to reduce his stress. He has a lot of
Mhm.
shit going on. Plus, it helps him with his suicidal tendencies. And so, like,
Mhm.
that's a case of like it working for the better, but like
Mhm.
he doesn't have enough money for dog food because of it, kind of thing. Like
Yeah, it's
it's there should be something else for anyone. Like you shouldn't have to resort to that, especially something that is federally illegal. It's federally illegal for a fucking reason. Like,
actually not not how you think it is. Let me tell you. Okay, it's a bit of a story, but in the 19 early 1900s, we'll take it even further than that. Weed's been popular for since ancient Greek. In the 1920s, roughly 1910s, 1920s, it was very popular, very, very popular
mm-hmm.
as medicinal, like, um, medicinal purposes.
Yeah,
1930, Federal Bureau of Narcotics. President Harry Anslinger was looking for a new drug to criminals because there are some weird reasons why he needed it. Nobody knows for sure if it's, to keep federal funding. There's multiple reasons why, but he needed to find something to criminalize. Mr. Anslinger is a staunch prohibitionist, very, very strict. He thinks he is definitely anti-weed. He hates this. He hates alcohol. He hates everything. Now this gets to the good part. The reason why he chose weed is because of Mexicans. I know that sounds weird, but let me explain how. He
you know the X Files theme.
mm-hmm.
I just imagine the X Files theme when you said that. It's because of Mexicans.
This is not even like theory, dude. Like this is actual thing. This is how it goes. What do people hate? What do white people hate right now? Fucking Mexicans. What do white
Whoa,
Mexicans do?
whoa, whoa, whoa! Generalization.
This is 1930s. Let's be honest. It's most of America.
Most of America just hates anything else other
Yeah,
than
that's true.
Americans.
Anyways, so what do we hate? We hate Mexicans. What does Mexicans do iconically? They smoke weed.
Cocaine.
Not there yet. We'll get there. Not there yet. So Harry J. Anslinger starts spreading propaganda about starts propaganda like, hey, Mr. President, listen, Mexicans smoke weed. Weed is bad. Weed is very, very bad. Well, sorry, no, I took it too far. President Nixon didn't do it. Anyways, Anslinger really just got the ball rolling. Now let's take it to Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon, hearing, knowing this, letting this sit in his family, because now everyone in America is like, weed is bad, weed is very bad. Take it to Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon, being the total fuck up that he is,
Yeah?
let's be honest, he's not a great president. Um, was like, we need to ban this right now. We can't have this going right now. And John Earlian said in 1984 that they knew they couldn't make weed illegal against the war on drugs, but by getting the public to dislike weed due to racial stereotypes, we would have full backing. So
I,
that's really the reason for the illegalization of weed started on needing to get something banned and then it turned into race.
well, shit. I actually didn't know much of that. Um,
Basically, banning illegal is racist.
fucking criminy Christmas. God damn it.
Just saying. Just saying.
Oh,
I told you
still.
it's the long story. Honestly, weed is a lot's going on.
Um, yeah. So like, you know, I'm not fully against it. I'm still very personally anti weed, but like I get the reasons people do it. Um, I just believe like you should get it medicinally. It shouldn't be like go meet the drug dealer kind of thing, which is what a lot of
Mhm.
my friends do because they're underage. I believe that you should be 18 or older to do it because
Actually, it's recommended pretty much every drug, even alcohol, after 25. 25 really should be the age limit, mostly because your brain stops fully developing at
yeah, but this is
25.
America and the government doesn't give a fuck. So like I wouldn't be surprised. I
Yeah.
personally am not gonna touch weed a day in my fucking life, so it doesn't really matter to me. Um, but you know, I'm I'm sorry, but like during your whole ramble after the X Files theme, I kind of
Mm.
just kept thinking about the X Files theme and how much I want to talk about. Do you believe aliens?
I got a story for you about aliens.
Oh
Um,
shit!
I definitely believe in aliens, and here's why.
I got probed by what?
So, here's the thing. One night, this was 3 years ago, I'm in my room. I wake up and I just feel the need to go get water. I go get water, you know. I'm filling up my glass. It's, with the sink, I like tap sometimes. It
As water does, it
happens.
fills up your glass.
It fills up my glass. And all of a sudden, I go outside. I have no explanation. I didn't feel drawn to it. I didn't like know like why I did it. I went outside. And from my house, you can see Dreamy Draw Mountain. Squaw Peak, I think it's Squaw Peak Mountain.
Yeah,
The park's just Dreamy Draw. And overhead, but I see over the top of the mountain because I don't live very far from it, like maybe a mile away from it. But the what I saw was the mountain, but above it were three orange lights. I thought, oh, cool. Because I thought it was like, Venus and Mars, like aligned because, that does happen.
yeah.
Because they were like from the mountain, they were pretty far back. They weren't like above it, but it looked above it just like perspective wise. So, anyways, I see three orange dots. They're standing still. They're in a scalene triangle formation. And I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Sip of my water. Don't think much of it. I go inside, but in the corner of my eye, I see one. The the one at the very top move up further, and they both follow.
I,
They
th-
both follow.
I thought you were like out of the corner of my eye. I see one, and I just imagine like a little
Sticks
gray
his finger up
alien
my
just sitting there.
ass. Anyway, so I see them. And I'm like, holy shit. These are UFOs. They are nothing else but UFOs. And then I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But then they start moving around again. The head one, the very top one, moves left and up. The others move left and up, as if they were, tracking something or trying to get back in formation or just trying to gather other twos. I'll get into that. So then Once I see them move back to the top of the mountain, now they're in an equilateral formation, more of an isosceles, like a V shape. They rise up just a bit, and two more pop up. So now it's forming a really long V. And then all of a sudden, poof, they're gone. I don't see like trails. I don't see them like trail up. I just see them disappear. For a
Bravo
week, I
6
thought
going dark.
nothing. For a week, I thought nothing of it just because I was like, either I was really tired or because I remember it vividly. I still like, think about it. I think about the account. My dad takes me to lunch and we're talking about aliens. He tells me the same exact fucking story I told him or I told you. And I only told my stepmom that story. And it was crazy because me and him saw the same thing. And he's across town. He's over by 12th Street, uh, 12th Street, and I'm on 7th Street, but he's on Highland. I'm like Central
All right.
or, sorry, Northern. So, like, there's a bit of a distance, 5 miles at least. And he sees the same exact thing. But, like, it's from a different perspective. Like, it's a little angled,
Yeah.
but, you still get it. So, that's what I have to say about that. I experienced this, and I understand like people don't believe other people, and I can sniff out a bullshit story,
Yeah.
but I can't fucking dispute that honestly.
So that's interesting because like you're probably the first person I've heard who actually gave a story that I'm actually not like that's bullshit. Like
Hmm.
now, if you were to say out of the corner of my eye, I saw one, a little alien, I would have been like, "You're fucking high. You are so high. You're joking with me." But
Mm,
you're like, no, the lights are moving, which I mean, like, yeah, that does happen, and it can be explained away by like stupid shit. But like,
it was just the erratic, precise movement. I
yeah,
know that
yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of contradicts each, erratic and precise, but like that's the only way you can do it because they were so fast and then they stopped, but they moved in a perfect straight line. Or at least it seemed like I'm not gonna take out my fucking protractor and like, well they went from here to here and
I personally,
judging from the curve of the sky and yada yada.
I personally, I mean, like, I believe in intelligent life. I don't believe in like UFO aliens.
Hmm.
I do see like unexplainable shit in the sky, and I'm just like, I'm probably having an episode. Like, I'm probably having a schizophrenic episode. It doesn't really matter. I don't care. Um,
Well, people are, you know, people are definitely believing a lot more
yeah,
just because of
they
how
show
much has
ancient
kind of
aliens. No, um,
aliens.
but like, I believe that if this alien civilization was to exist, we would either be like the simulation for it, or like they'd be at the same level we are.
Hmm.
Like, I find it very unlikely that they're hundreds and hundreds of years ahead of us. Um,
Well, you got to remember how long this universe has been around. If you could explain the entire uh history in one day, like one full day, 24 hours. If you can the universe's history in 24 hours, our entire world's history
isn't it
would
like
go
less than
from
a second?
less than a second,
Yeah.
less than a second. So, in that time, most certainly. Do you know how long it took for this solar system to, actually like form into like a moldable shape for life? It took years. It took billions of years.
Yeah, but that means someone's flying without any gravity attached to them whatsoever, and we haven't even experienced that. Like,
Well, it's not like we were the first universe to be or first solar system to be made,
well, yeah, but what
you
I'm
know?
saying is, like, I'll believe it when I kind of see it. Like, when I start seeing that technology, I'll be like, oh shit, maybe someone was like on point. But like, we've always had like the gravity of the sun holding us,
Hmm.
and so like, I definitely don't feel like we're gonna go out of the solar system and fly to another one. because we're too pussy to fly to a different solar system, um, if we could even see it. And, you know, what's to say that these aliens, quote unquote, that like fly over here,
Hmm.
because, you know, light years and shit like that, and a ton of complicated science shit, that their civilization isn't already wiped out.
Yeah.
So they're the last ones. And they arrive here, and, like, let's say they crash land, like the Roswell incident. Well, that means that your whole fucking species is eradicated because you can't fly a goddamn ship.
I don't like New Mexico being the, oh, we're New Mexico, we're aliens like Roswell.
Yeah.
You know what truly is a great alien city?
Hmm.
Phoenix. Let me tell you why. The Phoenix fucking Lights. Have you heard of the Phoenix fucking Lights?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
The
exactly.
Phoenix Lights. Yeah, I remember. I
Thousands of
remember
people,
the Phoenix Lights.
thousands of people see giant spaceship in the sky. Government shitty explanation leads to most people not believing it. It's really shit. They said something about flare tests, but like, flares don't stay, in uniform position with winds going on. Like,
Yeah.
what does Roswell have? A whole bunch of people saying they saw aliens, saying they're probed by aliens, alien gift shops.
Yeah. Um. So, you know, with this whole topic of aliens, you know, brings up the topic of debate of how small we really are as a puny species, in a puny planet, in a puny solar system, in a puny galaxy. Um, and so, like, I want to get a hot take, not a fast explanation, not a super long explanation like your weeds your Mexican X Files story.
Yeah,
Um,
Mexicans.
ghosts, demons, shit like that. What do you believe? What do you not believe? Why?
Um, hmm. Ghosts, demons. I believe ghosts and demons were painted by religion. I think, like, there are some certain creatures, like the Bigfoot or Loch Ness monster, that definitely once upon a time, there was a similar species.
Yeah,
Like maybe, um, Bigfoot was another branch of the human. You know,
Gigantopithecus
yeah,
would have been my guess.
Gigantopithecus, or the Loch Ness. It's in a aquatic, semi-aquatic animal. Um,
Plesiosaur, bro.
Plesiosaur, that'd be cool. But everyone thought giant sloths were fake, and then we go find giant sloths. It's fucking fantastic. Just
Yeah,
how these people really advocating for them, just found of course, with a lot of perseverance and determination, found these. So I think, to generalize all paranormal, I would say most of it I don't really believe. But just winding it back, I think, you know, a bigger question is, what's more scarier? Being alone in the universe, or knowing that there's, or not even knowing, just knowing, or not even, well, okay, go back on. Sorry, mess that up. Being alone in the universe or not being alone? Just what's more scary?
so personally, I think a perfect bridge between those two is reincarnation. So you're never fully alone, but you're not fully with someone. You're in a nice middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I personally definitely believe there's demons, but not in the way that people are like demon. You know, like
Demon, give me your
I
soul.
believe like I believe more of like a demon is someone corrupted by their own personal quote unquote demons. someone corrupted by evil. And so, like, someone who dies corrupted by evil ends up being a quote unquote demon or just a piece of shit. And they're reincarnated as such, as something that is a piece of shit. Maybe literally. It's so, like, not necessarily ghosts and demons, but, like,
Yeah, I get it.
karma has a way of stabbing you in the fucking front.
Well, that's another thing. People don't really understand. Karma doesn't, in the terms of Mahayana Buddhism, because I do a lot of religious studies, karma affects you in the next life, not in this life. It's like the caste system for the Indonesian system. Like you're either born into peasantry because of your last life was shitty, or maybe you were really good, so you move up in the caste system. How do you feel about Buddhism and religion?
So, hot take, none of it's fucking real. So, this has a lot of personal bias to it. I want to point that out. Buddhism is a way of life. It's not a religion. I want to also say that. It's a way of thinking. It's a philosophy. It's not necessarily religion. You're not like praising Buddha as the next coming of a Christ. Does that make sense? Like, he's not an almighty figure. He was a human under a tree for a minute. So, Buddhism, as much as I love Buddhism, like, that shit seems super cool. I would love to dress in, like, a robe and sit on a mountain for a bit. And I definitely do, like, see a lot of good things about Buddhism. But, like, Christianity can suck a fucking dick, personally. Because if God was real, he'd be doing something about anything happening on the planet. And I get the whole he works in mysterious ways, but, like, motherfucker, the ice caps are melting. Stop leaving your science project in the back of the class and present it to the rest of your class. I get we're an experiment, but fuck me, right? Like, I went through a lot of trauma in my youth. Motherfucker, you could have, like, changed something, like, fuck. I almost died because of my youth. Like, you're really just gonna let your little quote unquote child die? Fuck you.
Let your almighty plan.
Yeah, your almighty plan. Oh, I gotta kill this fucking kid. Yeah, fuck you. Like,
I think I got a problem with religion.
let's talk about Catholicism or Catholic fucking.
Catholicism.
Let's talk about the Catholics and how they're a cult. All right, so
Basically, every religion's a cult, man.
yes, but Catholicism, what the fuck ever,
Catholicism.
is a cult.
Catholicism.
Okay, so, like, in a cult, right? You have one leader, right? And the leader believes in a cause, and the rest of the people join in, right? And so you have one leader, and that's the motherfucker who is like, that's Jesus, and Jesus is the guy he believes in, right? So, like, everybody joins in. Yeah, that's God's son right there. Which, by the way, that family tree seems really fucked up. But
Yeah.
that's him. That's the dude right there. That's sick as fuck. He's God's son. He's a prophet. He's amazing. Hey, anybody else who comes to join in and praise this man, pay me hundreds of dollars to get into the praised land he's talking about, because we need to fund our cult-like ways. Fuck you. You're a cult. You're literally a cult. If you didn't make people pay to go to heaven or sacrifice people way back when, you wouldn't be a cult. But look what you did. And now you're a cult. Oh, is that some bitch talking some voodoo in a different language? Burn her, because we needed sacrifice.
Yeah.
Let me show you a magic trick real quick. Oh, really? I'll show you this pole I have and some of the fuel underneath, and we'll sacrifice you to Jesus. Pay me $20 to come and watch this and go to heaven. Fuck you. Like, fuck you. You're a cult. And I can't get behind any religion because of that. Like, I break it down in my mind in such a way that just makes it unfucking tolerable to me. Whether it be the fucking pastor, that like does some
Hmm.
stupid shit and gets arrested for it because I told, or it's being a cult. Fuck me.
Exactly.
Let's believe in a giant pink elephant with 6 titties. Hinduism.
Yeah.
Nothing against the religion. I want to point that out. This is all for goofs and gaffs. I'm just getting a lot of shit on my chest. It's been a rough day. Like, Catholicism's a cult, and you can't tell me otherwise. All right, I want to
Mm.
point that out. You don't sing in sermon like that and preach about how horrible people are, and then make them pay you if you're not a cult.
Speaking Latin, yeah, what's that
Yeah,
bullshit?
you speaking Latin, bro. That's some cult shit. Sorry, I just had to relieve something off my chest. I haven't spoke enough.
Yeah, religion for me, I think it's a comfort. I think it's always been comfort, knowing that everything is out of your hands. I think it's an excuse like, oh, I can't come into work because it's Sunday. That's a good
Oh, I
excuse.
gotta praise the Lord.
Or
I gotta go pay the priest so I
or
can
not
go to
just
heaven.
yeah. Yeah, but not just that, it's like an excuse for not having to be responsible for your actions. Like, the fuck is
Yeah,
up with that? And certain religions, like Christian, like the Christian belief, Catholicism, those I think it started out all right a long time ago. I'm talking about biblical times, like, hey, there's a big man in the sky. He did shit for you.
wait,
Praise him. Yeah.
you don't think that's
There were,
worse?
no, no. Let me explain why.
All right.
Because there wasn't many rules against hating one person or another, other than even non-believers like love your neighbor as your own.
Yeah.
But then you come around to more modern times, like the Dark Ages, or well, not even the Dark Ages, like just ancient Europe, not ancient Europe, 13th century Europe, where all of these, caveats are coming in, like, oh, love your neighbor, but if they're a female and they start spouting off wrong, they're a witch. Or
If they have a big nose, take the house.
exactly,
Some
like,
bullshit.
what happened? Like, if you read the Bible, I think my personal opinion on the Bible, everyone should have the Bible in their library. They should read it because there is a lot of wisdom and there's a lot of life lessons we can learn. It's just you don't have to believe it to read the Bible.
All right, here, I got you. I got you. So, every religion has their version of the Bible, right? It just so
Hmm.
happens that the motherfucker who wrote the Bible was like, this is the word of God. God
Hmm.
spoke to me, I'm a prophet, kind of shit, right? Well, if God fucking spoke to you, I don't think he'd be speaking in some nursery rhymes. I think he'd say what the fuck is up because God's a G.
Well, okay. So the Bible was written by multiple people from
Let's talk
multiple
about how they're
events.
human, too. That's a good one.
Yeah, and they're all mortals. And other there are a lot more books than the 66 you see in the Bible today. You know why? The Council of fucking Mysia. The Council of Mysia is a great subject to talk about. This was Roman Catholics, Roman Christians deciding what should be in the Bible. This was basically censoring
You're
whether
goddamn right it
they
was.
whether they liked it or not. So there's probably a lot of things we don't know about, like Jesus or God's description, because the Council of Nicaea tossed. They literally fucking tossed the Bibles that or the books that just didn't, cut it. And I'm not. And a lot of it was like multiple people at the same event, just different accounts.
Yeah.
Like it was really similar. But there's also accounts like Mary Magdalene, the supposed whore of the 12 disciples, or you don't get uh, a lot of speculation about Joseph, other than Joseph's account. There's a lot of things that we don't know about that most likely could, give us information about this. So I blame religious censorship at Council of Nicaea for a lot of things,
Yeah.
like little understanding about Christian faith, current day Christians and Catholics being so close minded. I mean, they even decided what religious artifacts should, make it or break it, which is probably why we don't see the fucking Holy Grail. The Council of Nicaea either didn't think it was valuable, or they thought it was so valuable that it should not be in the hands of any mortal. They have, the actual the Vatican supposedly has the crown of thorns that Jesus wore, and it's in this big glass bedazzled case. And like, to say that's the crown that Jesus wore is like saying it's really not saying much, honestly, because it would have fucking disintegrated by now, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
2,000 years go by. Do you think a stick's gonna last that long?
And if not, let's get that shit blood tested, carbon dated.
Oh, they also got some DNA. I think they got like a fucking shit. They got DNA from Jesus. I think they got like a finger or something. I don't know. They got something. But because Jesus was fucking mutilated. Honestly.
Yeah.
You read the description? Like, they stuck a spear in the side of his, like, just in his side, and pulled out intestines. That's fucking disgusting.
That's efficient right there. Sorry.
This brings me to another point. Jesus popularized crucifixion. Do you know the person who was? Do you know the name of the first person who was crucified?
Jesus
No.
Christ.
It was gone.
Oh, that's horrible. That's a hot take right there.
Yeah.
So, oh fuck. Unfortunately, we have reached an hour.
Alrighty. I think
so,
an hour's good.
yeah.
I thought this was good.
This was a great fucking run. I'm probably gonna upload this.
Just clip out the bad shit.
No, I mean, like, all of it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. Just screen it first.
Screen it?
Because I don't remember what I said.
Alright. Well, thank whoever fucking listens to this bullshit. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I
mean, of course, we're going to try and get the word out.
Yeah. I mean, like, should we? Like, I feel like we should go, like, a few episodes balls deep before we start telling people. Anyway, it's been real. I'm Ben.
I'm Ephraim. And this has been the Lonely Nights Podcast.